Welcome back to my channel, and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen, and this is Jen Clayton Beauty. We do everything beauty and makeup, and today we're testing out the newest launch from Colourpop. Now, if you watch a lot of my videos, you know that I literally purchased one collection or one palette from Colourpop in 2023, and that was the Haunted Mansion collection. Colourpop just has not spoke to me. A lot of their releases I'm really not interested in, but this release, the minute that I saw that it dropped, and I saw the video that Leah Janae here on YouTube did. I love her. She's one of my favorite beauty content creators. I saw the video that she did, and I knew I had to have at least a part of this collection. And that is the Valentine's Day release for 2024 from Colourpop, the Lost in Love palette. So I ended up picking up the palette, and then I also picked up one of the lip and cheek balm. So we're actually going to use this on our cheeks and our lips. We're going to do an eye look with the palette. And then I picked up another product from Colourpop that I love, and I actually used it up. It was in an empties, completely gone, and I wanted it back into my life, and that is the Colourpop Flexitarian Super Shock Highlighter. This is an amazing highlighter. I also love this as an inner corner highlight and a brow bone highlight as well. So I'm going to go ahead and insert swatches, close-ups of the Lost in Love palette, the lip and cheek balm, and the Flexitarian Super Shock Highlighter if you have not seen that before. Like I said, it's absolutely beautiful. There were some other pieces to this collection. There were a couple more of the lip and cheek balms. There were also some lippies and maybe even just a couple more pieces, but really what I wanted to get my hands on was the palette because the color story absolutely spoke to me. It's pinks, it's oranges, it has light, mid-tone, and deep mattes. It has an inner corner highlight shade. It has different textures of shimmers. I was just really excited about the palette, and I love a good cream blush, and I ended up with the shade Cutesy Wootsy, which is one of their darker shades. Also love the name of that. Love the heart packaging, and I definitely wanted to try it out to see how it applied both to the cheeks and the lips. And then of course we're going to use the Flexitarian highlighter in today's look as well. So the first thing I want to do is try out the Cutesy Wootsy cream blush, and then like I said, we're going to apply this to the lips as well. There is a mirror in here, which I think is a nice addition, especially for travel. I'm going to pick this up with my kabuki brush. This is the one that I typically use for my cream blush, and I'm going to tap that on. Wow. That is really pretty. That is really pigmented. You know what? Let me zoom you in. You can see how incredibly pigmented that is. And that was just one tap into Cutesy Wootsy for each side of my face. I'm going to try to diffuse this out a bit with my kabuki brush, and then I may grab a sponge and we'll see if we can diffuse it out a little bit, but that is really pretty. So I ended up not needing to pick up a sponge. This worked perfectly. I just kind of tapped it and it diffused it out really beautifully. I really like the color of this. And I think, of course, the heart packaging is so cute. And then I do want to put this on my lips because it says it can be used on lips and cheeks. So I have a nice flat brush here. I really like the color. If I tap back into it, I'm definitely able to build up the color. Isn't that pretty? It actually feels really good on the lips. Kind of the consistency of maybe a bullet lipstick. I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to keep my brush handy in case we want to reapply, but it actually feels really nice on the lips, and I like that it matches so well with the blush. If you wanted it to be a little bit more glossy, you could always pop on a lip gloss or a lip oil, but it honestly feels really comfortable as is on the lips. Now let's go ahead and pick up Flexitarian. It's been a hot minute since I had Flexitarian in my life, and we're going to use that as our highlight. Look how pretty that is. What I really like about the Super Shock highlighter formula is it sinks right into the skin. Since it's not a powder formula, it's more of a cream, maybe like a cream to powder formula. It sinks into the skin beautifully, and it's so pretty. You can go a little light-handed for a little bit more natural. You can build that up for a little bit more bold. I just really love the Super Shock formula. And like I said, Flexitarian is one of those shades that can be used for so many different things, including inner corner highlight, brow bone highlight. It's just such a versatile shade. So I am going to go ahead and set my face with powder, and then let's test out the Lost in Love palette. As always, I'm going to prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly. I always tap my eye primer in really well and make sure there's no creasing. I do not set my eye primer with powder. I get asked that a lot. I do not set it. I just apply shadow right on top. The MAC Paint Pot and Painterly, if you know, you know. It's my all-time favorite eyeshadow primer. It's honestly the only one I use. As always, the hard part is deciding on what colors I want to do. Obviously, I'm going to get a pinky coral look. I'm going to try to use some of the pinks and some of the coral so we can test out some of the different shades in the palette. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the light matte in the palette called Dibs. I'm going to pick that up with a fluffy brush. And I'm going to pop that into my crease as my transition shade, and actually I'm going to bring that a little bit above my crease as always because I do have a little bit hooded eyes and I do want to be able to see that pretty pink shade when my eyes are open. So I'm going to pack that in and blend that out. That's actually more pigmented than I expected looking at it in the pan. It definitely looks like a lighter pink, but I appreciate how pigmented it is. It is just the perfect pastel pink. That shade is really pretty and it blended out beautifully. I'm going to go into this coral shade here. This is one of the mid-tone mattes in the palette called Amorous. And I'm going to pick that up on a little bit denser, flatter, fluffy brush. And I'm going to tap that in my crease. Ooh, that's a really pretty color. And then I'm going to, in a windshield wiper motion, just blend that and really pack that into the crease. I always like to close my eyes and bring it down just a little bit on my lid. I'm staying away from above my crease though, because we do want that pink shade to pop through. How pretty that is. It's a really beautiful coral. Going back into that light pink shade Dibs, I'm going to pick a little bit more up on my brush and I'm just going to use that to blend and diffuse everything together. These shades are very pigmented, very beautiful. They layered beautifully on top of each other. Then I'm going to go into this deep pink shade called Just Us. I love that you can use any of these three to deepen up the outer corner. This one's a little bit more purple leaning, a little more pink leaning, and a little more coral leaning. So I'm going to go into the pink leaning one shade called Just Us. Pick that up. I'm going to tap my brush off and I'm going to pack that in the outer corner. Ooh, this is a nice hot pink. That is so beautiful. Wow. Look how pigmented that is. One tap in. That shade is strikingly beautiful. I'm going to use that same brush we used on the crease, no added shadow. And again, I'm going to just blend those edges. As always, we're going to use my NYX glitter glue. I'm going to tap some of that on my lids and then we'll test out these shimmers. Now, like I said, there's different textures of shimmer. So these couple right here are their new, I guess you would call it revised pressed glitter. I think they call them pearlescent glitters. Now, when I swatch those, they are not a pressed glitter formula. They're more of the Super Shock formula, a little bit more chunky, similar to what you'd find in a lot of indie makeup brands with those more chunky shimmers. I actually thought they swatched beautifully. And then we just have some traditional pretty Colourpop shimmer. So I do want to test out one of their new pearlescent shimmers, and we have two shades. We have Totally Smitten and Better With You. So one's a little bit more coral leaning, one's a little bit more pink leaning. I think we're going to go in with the one that has that little bit of a coral gold pink shift to it called Better With You. And I'm going to tap that on the outer 3/4 of my lid. Ooh, yeah, that's really pretty. So touching it, it is very much a Super Shock consistency. It feels like a Super Shock shadow, Super Shock highlighter, but when I apply it to the lids, it's just really sparkly and beautiful, and it doesn't look like a pressed glitter. So that's what I meant by it not being a pressed glitter, but sparkly like a pressed glitter. It builds up really nice as well, so if I tap back in, I'm able to get a little bit more shimmer payoff. I think that is really pretty. It's not as glittery and sparkly as I thought that it would be, but I think it's a really beautiful shimmer. Then I'm going to go into the pink, just traditional shimmer called So In Love, and I'm going to pick that up on a brush so that we can test applying these out with a brush, and I'm going to put that on the inner portion of my lid. That's also really pretty. It actually looks really nice next to that more pearlescent glitter. Now, I would say that this is just a traditional shimmer. It's not even a really sparkly shimmer. It's just a traditional shimmer shade. I do want to test out this shade here called All My Heart, which is the coral shimmer. I'm going to pick that up on that same kind of flat pencil, same kind of pencil brush, and I'm going to pop that right in the middle. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. And that's going to bring in a little more of that pretty coral shade. And then for my lower lash line, I'm going to pick up this shade called Cupid Called. It looks like a shimmer shade, but it's actually a matte with shimmer, and I'm going to buff that on my lower lash line. Definitely is a matte. I don't even see any shimmer, which is not a bad thing at all. And then I'm going to go back into All My Heart, which is that coral shimmer that we tapped right in the middle of our lid, and I'm going to buff that right on top. And then last but not least, into the lightest shimmer called Falling, I'm going to pick that up and tap that in my inner corner. Ooh, that's really pretty. It has a little bit of a pink base to the shimmer. That's really pretty though as an inner corner. So here is the completed look. Let me go ahead and do liner mascara, and I'll be back to share my thoughts on the Colourpop Lost in Love collection. So here is the completed look using the Colourpop Lost in Love collection and the Flexitarian highlighter. Let's start with the highlighter. I love it. It is bringing me back to all the reasons why I needed this back into my life. I actually think this would have been beautiful on the inner corner as an inner corner highlight. And like I said, it makes a great highlighter, inner corner highlight, brow bone highlighter. It's even pretty on the lid as a shimmer shade. It's such a versatile product from Colourpop. I'm just really happy to have it back. And then let's talk about the Cutesy Wootsy Lip and Cheek Cream. So first on the cheeks, I absolutely love it. It just melted into my skin. When I was putting on my mascara and liner and was up close to my face in the mirror, it's just really beautiful on the skin. It is a fun kind of coral pink color. So as a cream blush, I think it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. It is set down. It's not tacky. Obsessed with this color. For the lips, I like it as well. I did go ahead and go back in with my brush and put a little bit more on my lips. As time went on, the color definitely stayed, but it dried down. Not dry like a liquid lipstick, but not creamy like a bullet lip anymore. It definitely dried down. So I think if I did use this on the lips, I would pop a lip oil or gloss on top just to give it a little bit more glossy look rather than so matte, but I love this color. I'm kind of kicking myself for not picking up the other two shades. And like I said, I think the heart packaging is so cute. And then moving on to the Lost in Love palette. So first let's talk about the mattes. The mattes performed beautifully. They layered really nicely on each other. There was no patchiness. There was barely any kick up in the pan. I had zero fallout. I love that there's light mattes, mid-tone mattes, deep mattes. I love that. I really, really love that they gave us a good selection of mattes to create a cohesive look. Now with the shimmers, these two of their pearlescent shimmers, aka the reformulated pressed glitter, I really, really like those. I think my lids look very sparkly, very beautiful, and once I turn the lights on my vanity mirror, they just sparkled. They were really pretty. So these two shimmers right here, I really like. I like them more than I thought that I would. And again, the formula reminds me of the Super Shock formula a little bit, that texture and that consistency. Now the matte with shimmer here that we put on our lower lash line, to me, that's just a matte. I don't see any shimmer. Now, maybe if I applied it on my lid to a bigger surface area, there might be some shimmer, but it applied beautifully and I really like it on the lower lash line. Now for the actual just traditional shimmers in the palette, which are going to be these four right here. They're okay. They're not the extraordinary Colourpop shimmer that's just wow. And they definitely don't stack up to an indie shimmer. I mean, indie shimmers, they take the cake. You can't beat them. But I don't think that these are the exceptional Colourpop formula, but they're not terrible. I would say that they kind of fall right in the middle. For me, I'd rather use these two shades over the other shimmers in the palette. And I will say that the one on the inner corner highlight definitely looks a little bit more matte than an inner corner highlight. I'd have been better off using my Flexitarian, but I do like them on the lid to kind of balance things out so you don't have this super sparkly glittery lid. These will definitely balance that out. Or if you're someone that doesn't prefer a super sparkly lid or a Super Shock type type of wet formula, you may really enjoy the shimmers. But overall, for $18, this palette is definitely worth it. I love the color story. It's a unique color story to my collection. My eye look turned out beautiful and it looks so nice with the cutesy wootsy lip and cheek cream. So overall, I'm really happy with my purchase of the Lost in Love palette. And of course, the packaging, as always with Colourpop, super cute. So overall, I think this is a really nice collection. I wish, like I said, I had picked up a couple more of the blushes, and I do like the palette. There's just things about the palette I like a little bit more than other things about the palette, but overall, the color story, perfect for Valentine's Day. And like I said, unique to my collection. And I have hundreds of eyeshadow palettes. So I'm really happy with my overall purchase. So let me know down below, are you going to be picking this up? I will link it down below with Leah Janae's discount code. That's what I used when I purchased it right off of the Colourpop website. Everything at the filming of this video is still available. And if you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, turn your bell on so you never miss a future video. I will link the Lost in Love collection down below. I'll also link the Flexitarian highlighter, highly recommend, as well as my favorite beauty subscription boxes, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing in today's look, and come follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. I definitely love the Lost in Love collection.